Well, hello, peeps. It's the Hillbilly Halfwit. How are you today? Well, that was a bit of an explosive one last night, wasn't it? Uh, well, true to form from the Hillbilly Halfwit, I'm going to tell you exactly how I feel about all this. And it's probably going to upset a few of you on you, but it's just my opinion. I'm only just a guy in the middle of mid Wales who has his own opinion. And here it is. Like I said, you might get upset, but I always say it as it is, so that's how my channel has always been. What do I think last night? I actually think Trump and Vance should be applauded for dressing this little bastard down, right? That's how I feel. Because I think he's been planted there for this war early on after COVID. Now, he's been marching around like a little actor. Well, 2,000 people get killed there a week. 700,000 each side. And they're in a stalemate where they can't go anywhere. And he's very, very popular with the West, but he's not in his own country. So after his little performance yesterday, his own MPs are trying to impeach him in Ukraine. So them's the facts. Vance said they shouldn't be arguing in front of the press. And that's why it all started, and Zelensky started it to make himself look big. Then it went absolutely Pete-tong. Trump and everybody, it was not good at all, was it? Let's be honest with you. Somebody lost the head. You know, that's what happened. Like I said, I listened to it all. Now, a lot of people don't realise why this is all about. When Trump got assassinated, I got to say allegedly on here, the first time, there's not a lot of details come out about this, but the second time when it was on his golf course, it was only 2 weeks after, this guy who was laying in wait by one of the holes there, with two body armour vests against a fence and a rifle, he was campaigning for Ukraine. And he was working for the Democrat Party. Now, at the time, this was all kept quiet, but you go back and have a look yourself. It's all true. I did a video about it, but I think I had to take it down because they, banned it. Now, at the same time, I said at the time that Zelensky realised if Trump came into power, the war's going to finish. Now, I still am convinced that he was behind these things. They wanted him bopped off because of this very thing. Then he went to campaign for the Democrat Party himself in America. You know, it's very, very suspicious. Now, of course, I stand with all these soldiers. My dad was a military man. Lots of my friends are military people. But I don't think you should be in wars just because of political things. Lots of people fighting there are fighting for obviously their own reasons, but I think the people who started this war have had more at hand. Now, I'm just going to tell you from my particular reason what's going on here. Now, when this all started, it was basically 2 weeks after lockdown finished. They wanted to take our minds off everything. And for me as a farmer, since then, you basically had a real job to make any money. Because straight away it put the fertiliser prices up from £200 a tonne, I think it was £220 a tonne, to £600, sometimes £1,000 a tonne of that year. I couldn't even afford to buy fertiliser that year. Fuel went through the roof. Then we were low on all kinds of other things as well. Because basically Biden and his lot bombed that pipeline that was going to Germany. So Europe was in the shit. And then we were buying stuff, our fuel, and resources off America. Now, people got to fucking wake up to this sort of thing. They really need to wake up to it. If the mainstream media is all saying this thing and they're pushing these things, it's 100% bullshit. Absolute 100% bullshit. And I even turned on GB News this morning, and they got two of these left-wing wankers on there instead of the normal people. And when you see that there, that this is a thing they're pushing. You've got to understand that all mainstream media is propaganda. It's propaganda to force us to think the way that they want us to think. And you just got to open your own brain and see what's going on. Look at what's happening. Second World War only lasted for, 4 or 5 years. This has been going on for 3 or 4 years now. It's a stalemate. And it needed stopping. There's too many people dying. And whatever you think of Trump, and I don't believe in everything he does, he's anti-war. And you sometimes need hard leaders just to say the fucking truth. That is the truth of it all. Right, Al? That's what you need. And he did it in front of the whole world yesterday. Now that little guy, as a comedian and an actor, he's been running around there pretending he's a soldier. He's never been a soldier. J.D. Vance has been a soldier. J.D. Vance has fought on the front lines. That other fella hasn't. And they're quite happy to send people off as cannon fodder when, you know, in my opinion, it was an EU started thing. Now, when I was younger, Kennedy, that was a big thing that was on go then when I was younger. It had happened before, but it was still being talked about. Kennedy and Russia had that big fallout over Russia bringing nuclear weapons to Cuba. So you don't bring nuclear weapons that close to a superpower. And that's how that got very, very dangerous indeed. Now, what happened on the border in 2000, when was it? Is it 18 or 19? I forget now. No, around 19 or 20. NATO were putting missiles and nuclear-tipped missiles on the border of Ukraine. And in 2014, when they had a row before, there was a bit of a war with Russia in Ukraine before, they made this agreement and said it would all stop as long as there was no NATO build-up of troops on the border. That's what was said, and they didn't want Ukraine to go into NATO or the EU. That's the group. That is the deal that was made with Russia and Ukraine at that time. And that is fact. You go and look yourself. That is fucking fact. Now, the aggressor year was NATO and the EU. And they pushed and pushed and pushed, and in the end, Putin acted. I don't like the guy, but I wouldn't take that shit neither. Sometimes you just got to say enough is enough. They made that agreement, they should have stuck by it. Now, you know, it needs peace talks, and that's the end of it. They're pretty much at the point now where Russia has taken back what they originally had many, many years ago, a little extra slither of Ukraine, but I think it's about a fifth of Ukraine that they had years ago, where the Russian ports used to be, where the submarines and stuff used to be. And that they gave, I think that went when the Soviet Union fell. Now, the best thing to do there now is to have elections, because they haven't had any elections, and just get peaceful there. And if Putin tries it again this time, of course, full on then, That's what I'm like. You'll be full on war then. You've given them an ultimatum and said, look, that's it. You step over that line where everybody's all in then. But I don't think he's the aggressor this time. I really don't. And they're trying to start a third world war, these fucking maniacs. Now, Trump comes over bad. He came over bad last night. And I was very proud of him doing it, actually. Somebody needed to call that guy out. And I know people won't like it. They won't like this video that I've done. But when I see people on TV, supposedly left-wing, that used to be anti-war, full-on in war mode, 2,000 people getting killed a week, 700,000 on each side have died, and they're still not even thinking about things like that. They're stuck on a line like they were in World War One. Not going forward, not going backwards, just killing each other. When it's time to stop. It is time to stop. And the Democrat Party have been money laundering money. They've been giving billions to Ukraine, from what I understand. A lot of it has been given back to them on a money laundering scam, so they could pay for their last election. That's what I understand. That's all to come out yet. Same with Starmer. You know, it's ridiculous when you think, oh, I'm going to be locking us into a deal with Ukraine for 100 years, a peacekeeping deal. Fucking the war isn't going to go on for 100 years. Have you ever heard of a war going on for 100 years? People, you need to wake up to this. I know a lot of you won't like what I've just said, but that is the truth of the matter. The blob in the UK and the Western world wanted this war to keep us all scared of Russia. That's what's going on. And Trump, even though people hate him for how brash he is, I don't like what he does sometimes. I don't think he should be taught. I said this long ago. I don't think he should be giving press conferences. He should just keep out of sight. But he's anti-war. And you'll find he'll stop these wars. This little shit now dressing down. We'll have to come back to him crawling. He was trying to crawl back last night and Trump wouldn't meet him. So, there we are. That's what I think about it. I'm not anti-war. I don't like wars, but I don't trust wars that are just made for convenience. And this was made for convenience. Putin wasn't the aggressor originally. He did come to be afterwards. And too many lives lost. And now I'm old enough to remember when Thatcher and Gorbachev decided to get on instead of falling out with each other. And it was a great time to be alive, because I remember it was just this relief. Everybody was just felt like the world was going to blow up every 5 minutes through up until that time. And then Gorbachev came and people suddenly decided, let's get on. Now I believe Trump is going to do that with Putin now. Myself. I know a lot of people don't think that's good, but you've never lived through it. I've lived through the one when Gorbachev and Thatcher and the American president got on. And it was a great time to be alive. Because they worked together. And there was no wars hardly anywhere around the world then for a long time. Iraq was the next one. So that's my thoughts on it. You know everything I think about it. I think this one should be stopped properly. But then a deadline put down then by everybody that's saying to Putin, you try this again, and this is going to be full-blown war from everybody. That's what I prefer. They're just playing about at the moment, trying to pretend Europe are trying to pretend they're hard when they've got no money. They're using other people's money. So there we are. Please subscribe below. I know a lot of people don't like it, but I just say the truth. Most people are afraid to. So there we go. All the best, Gaz.